Hey guys, so for today's video I wanted to do a book recommendation based off of your favorite Magic Kingdom rides. Probably by the time you're watching this, I will be in Disney working for the DCP, so if you want more videos about the DCP, stick around. If you want more recommendations about like rides and stuff, then leave in the comments like which ride or like which park you want me to do next. So starting off with Liberty Square, I'm going to go with one of my favorite rides, which is Haunted Mansion, and I actually have two book recommendations for this one. Most of them are only one book, but this one, it's my favorite one of my favorite rides, so I had to do two. The first book that I would recommend is My Sister the Serial Killer, and then also Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I chose My Sister the Serial Killer based off of one of the aspects of the ride, which is Constance Hatchaway, which is like the Black Widow bride that you see in the attic that has a little hatch, and she basically killed all of her ex-husbands. And so I thought this would be a perfect fit just because both of the women are the villains. Why did I air quote? They are the villains. They're killing people. In My Sister the Serial Killer, Cordy is basically always cleaning up her sister's messes, which normally ends up being her sister's boyfriends. At first she thinks that she's doing it out of self-defense, but she's kind of starting to think that it's not necessarily self-defense because the boyfriends are starting to pile up. And the next guy she's going after is a guy that Cordy has a crush on. So I think y'all would really like that. I loved it. The next book for Haunted Mansion is Home Before Dark. Maggie is returning years after her parents left this house that I think she only spent like a month in, and before they were like, no, we gotta get out of here. And her dad wrote a book about this haunted house that they were in, and whenever he dies, she inherits the house, which she thought that he had sold like a long time ago. And she's not the biggest fan of the book, and she doesn't exactly think that everything that happened in there was real. So she's trying to figure out basically if it's real or not. And she is a interior designer, so she's trying to fix up the house so that she can end up selling it later on, so that she can be done with this house. The next land I'm going to do is Frontierland, and one of my favorite rides is Big Thunder Mountain. And I found this land a little difficult because I don't really read like westerns, and so I wanted to still have that feel, but like I'm not one to grab the cowboys missing their shirt books, which is what I kind of expect for like the recommendations. I don't know. But luckily I found a western book that was not with some man missing his shirt on the cover. So for my recommendation for Thunder Mountain is Outlawed by Anna North. Ada gets married, and after a year of trying to have a child, she's unable to do so, which in her town, if you cannot have children and things start happening to the other women where they can't have children, they can sometimes consider you a witch and you can be hanged, and it's just overall not a good time. In order to keep her safe, Ada joins a convent, which is kind of a boring lifestyle for her. She leaves the convent to join the outlaw gang so that she can get enough money for herself that she can figure out why women around her are barren and like because they just didn't have the science at the time. And she just knew that it was not because they're all witches. Next up is Tomorrowland. If your favorite ride is Carousel if your favorite ride is Carousel of Progress, you are not looking for like anything too adventurous. You like technology and seeing innovation, but like you're just here for a good time. You want a friend. You ain't looking for like anything too crazy, okay? My recommendation for Carousel of Progress is Clara and the Sun. In this world that the story brings us, you can buy little robots for your children so that they can have friends. Which sounds really sad that they can't have real friends, but we see in the book we get to experience how technology can be mistreated. But Clara is an AI and she is joined with the little girl and they become friends. I think if you like Carousel of Progress, you would like Clara and the Sun because maybe you just need a robot friend. I would love a robot friend. Since Fantasyland has so many rides, I decided to do two different rides and two different books. So my first one is for the Mad Tea Party. This is like the most similar to, like I try not to do, like obviously you could read Peter Pan for the Peter Pan ride, but like this is basically a retelling of Alice in the Wonderland. It's Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. And I think it would be a great book to read if you like the Mad Tea Party. Queen of Hearts is my recommendation for those who like the Mad Tea Party. It's not really about Alice falling down. It's more of Wonderland before she falls down, I guess. I don't know if I don't think she's even mentioned in the book. But this is the story of how the Queen of Hearts became to be. She was originally in line for the throne, and then a lot of enemies don't really want her to be, and so they make her into what she is now, which is not as nice. From what I remember, there was some mental issues involved with her brother, who is the Mad Hatter. My camera just randomly died, but the next recommendation I have is also for Fantasyland, and it is if you like It's a Small World. I think you should read Anxious People by Frederick Backman. It's about a bank robbery, which is kind of like an odd thing to suggest for a kids ride, but hear me out. It's a bank robbery that doesn't go right. It ends up being a cashless bank, and so he ends up going over to, there's an apartment that's being viewed, and a lot of people that are viewing the apartment get held hostage, kind of. It's also great because it has a little bit of different ways they tell a story. Like over here they tell it like a normal book, but then over here is like the police writings. I don't know what you'd call that. But I suggest this book because all the people are related in some type of way. But like also in this book, it's a small world because somehow these people are tied to each other in like ways that you would not expect. But there's a lot to unpack in here for this cover. I was not expecting what was going on with this cover. I thought it was going to be like some sort of romance or something really light. But just some warnings. There are people that are suffering with depression, and they talk about suicide attempts. So, but other than that, it's a good time. Highly recommend if you like Small World. But I lied. There's not just 2 in fantasy, there's 3. For my third one is the Little Mermaid ride, and I would suggest reading To Kill a Kingdom. It's also a Little Mermaid retelling. Our main characters are Lyra and Elian, and Lyra is a siren who is trying to capture Prince Elian's heart. So it's an enemies to lovers. You have a siren, and then Prince Elian is also a siren killer slash pirate slash prince. But I think this one is great if you like The Little Mermaid, specifically for like Ursula, like the darker themes. It's so good. This book is also for Fantasyland. It's for Peter Pan. When I'm talking about these children rides, just assume that I'm doing like a dark version of them, not your Disney retelling, because Lord of the Flies is my recommendation if you like Peter Pan, because it's also about a group of boys and their plane crashes and they have to figure out how to survive on an island by themselves without any adults. And I will mention, it does get pretty gory. Warning, I feel like I should do trigger warnings for all these books. Children death and animal cruelty, like graphic. I think that's all that I can think of. They fat shame. My last recommendation is for Adventureland. Another one of my favorite rides is Pirates of the Caribbean. If you like Pirates of the Caribbean, you should definitely read A Darker Shade of Magic. There's basically multiple Londons that are like in different dimensions, and only certain people can travel in between these dimensions. Our main character meets Lila, who wants to be a pirate, and there's not like heavy pirate influences in this book. Besides, she just mentions she wants to be a pirate and like she used to live on a ship. But other than that, they steal a lot from each dimension and from other people, and it's based in London. And I'm pretty sure that Pirates of the Caribbean, like where Keira Knightley is in London, or like Europe. It's been a minute since I've actually watched the movie. I would love to hear any recommendations y'all have on rides or want to see for future videos. And I hope that you have a good next read if you choose any of these books. With that, I'm off. Bye!